Ooh, it's tea time.
It's tea time with Mary.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. Today, this episode is going to be a little bit different than normal. As you can see, I'm just kind of chilling on my couch, hanging out with you. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's really important to have positive, honest, and open discussions about mental health in general. That's part of the reason why I started Positivity, my podcast. And I've had a lot going on, a lot. And I haven't really spoken about it too much publicly. So I thought it would be a really nice time to just kind of update you and clue you in on some of the things that have been happening. And I hope you have a cup of tea and that you're feeling cozy, because we are going to have a super cozy, relaxing stream today. If you like this and other tea parties, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We just hit YouTube Partner, which is so very exciting. So welcome if you're new, and I'm so glad that you're still here if you have been around for a while. Let's get into this little cozy life update. Mental health. Huzzah, here we go. Before I get started, I just want to say that I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So if you do need help, please seek help. You are worth it from a professional. I highly encourage it. And we're going to talk a lot about how getting professional help is changing my life in this episode. So I highly encourage you to do the same. And for the sake of privacy, I'm not going to be going into any details for privacy's sake. I don't want any kind of bad, negative things being sent into the universe. So I hope you understand. So, hi. Hello. My name is Mary Lou, and I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder as well as c-ptsd, which the C stands for cumulative, I think. Remember that time I told you to talk to your doctor if you have questions? Yes. I didn't know I had PTSD until maybe a year ago. So isn't that funny? It's something I've been living with for a long time, and I had no idea. And also, what has sort of prolonged seeking help for this is the fact that I also have certain detachment disorders or dissociative disorders, one of which being selective amnesia. A lot of really horrible abuse. And I didn't know, particularly about one of them, I didn't know certain things happened to me because my brain was doing such a good job at protecting myself. So I was able to continue functioning day to day, and I didn't remember any of it. So that's one way that my brain was coping, was just simply erasing the memories. Another way that my brain has kind of learned to cope to help me function all the time is disassociation, which is this weird way that you perceive space and time, and you're just kind of removed from yourself all the time. But in my gut, it feels like there's a pressure cooker. Like the lid is on, and you don't feel sad or angry or upset or anything. You just kind of feel this middle road of all the time. Which on the flip side, you also don't really feel happy. It's kind of like you don't feel any ends of the spectrum of emotion. You're just kind of stuck in this tiny emotional range. And it's a weird place to be. You feel a little bit like a zombie. And I had been living in a dissociative state for a really long, like years and years and years, and I just had no idea. Because you're not truly like void of emotions, because you still have that pressure cooker feeling in your stomach, like the lid is being forced down and something is brewing and something is building up. But on the surface, everything just feels kind of empty. So brains do all sorts of incredible things to try to protect us. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I got a good noggin. It wanted to protect me so much from things that have been happening that I either didn't remember or haven't really been feeling the effects of things that have happened in my life. And I had been functioning like this for a long time. And it wasn't until about the last year, year and a half or so that I started to remember things in my life that had happened. I've had nightmares every night for as long as I can remember, and no one really knew why. I had had professional help in the past, and we had done certain things that were very helpful, but we had yet to get to the root of the issue, so to speak. So first I started dreaming about these traumatic instances and other things in my life. And then these dreams started to unveil actual memories. And this scared me a lot. It was really frightening, and I was starting to feel things that I hadn't felt in a really long time, that I had just recently, like, not even remembered that I had felt this way. So last year, I started reaching out for help again. It took a while to find the right therapist. It probably wasn't until late fall, I think, that I finally found the right one. So I really encourage you to advocate for yourself. It can be really difficult navigating the mental health system, but you are so worth it. And sometimes where you are isn't a good match, and you got this. It might be a pain in the butt, but you got this, I promise. So I've been with a phenomenal therapist since late last year. She was helping me sort of navigate all of these new memories that were popping up. I didn't know dissociation was a thing. I just felt like a weird outsider that lived in this weird zombie mode all the time, and that I was alone and no one could understand what I was going through because it was so unusual and outside the human experience, seemingly. But that's not the case at all. Isolation is definitely an interesting part of a lot of different mental disorders that I've experienced. And that's one of the most magical things that seeking professional help has given to me, is knowing that I'm not alone and having that validation of my feelings and experience. And it's been really wonderful. Yeah, I learned late last year, what dissociative disorders were and what they meant with my therapist. And I was like, oh, that's huge. That's amazing. So, as my therapist and I continued to work together, more memories started coming back. I started becoming less and less functional. And we decided that a very specific treatment was worth looking into. And I decided I wanted to start. So, what I have been doing, I'm no longer seeing my regular therapist, which on the one hand makes me kind of sad because my insurance doesn't cover more than 1 hour a week, and I have to do hour sessions with the specialist, but they are so wonderful. I have been going through something called EMDR. EMDR, eye movement D, desensitization and reprocessing. Woot, that's it. Yes. And I gotta tell you, science is freaking cool. It's essentially a technique. You have to go to someone who is super specially trained in all of this, and it utilizes eye movements that mimic eye movements in REM sleep when you're dreaming, and your eyes are moving back and forth, but you're awake, and you have a professional there to guide you safely through different experiences in your life, to help your brain actually process them. So if you haven't maybe picked up by now, but the fact that didn't remember a lot of this for a really long time, and just living in a detached state, my brain didn't process pretty much a lot of it. So this is a way for your brain to do that in a safe environment with a professional who's there to guide you and help you by arming you with tools. And it's kind of it sounds a little weird. I totally understand. Science is so cool, I gotta tell you. So, yeah, I've been going through this very special, very intense treatment. It's kind of the alternative instead of just talk therapy. It works in a much, much shorter amount of time. So, for people like me who have PTSD, it can be a way to really just catapult that progress in your life and get you to be a functioning human faster than just talk therapy alone. Now, I will be totally transparent. I am also on an antidepressant. I have been for, I've been on and off antidepressants for years, but this one I've been on now for probably 2 years. So it's not all just talk therapy tools and things that are happening. Like I am also taking some mood enhancers or whatever you want to call them as well. So I have not actually started the eye movement portion of EMDR therapy. I have just been doing the prep work, which we've been doing prep work for probably a month and a half now. And that is a process that can take longer than the actual eye movement portion of the therapy. And it's all really hard. It's really intense. I'm not gonna lie, I can't really function too much for the first 2.5 days or so after I have treatment. And that's just what I've been referring to it generally as treatment, undergoing treatment for something very serious, which is what it is. And also, if I don't feel comfortable talking about exactly what it is and explaining EMDR all the time, or bringing up my PTSD, which can be triggering sometimes, it's treatment and administered by a super highly trained professional. And yeah, it's essentially at this stage where I am now, we're going over different events in my life and finding connections and doing all of this preparation of these channels in my brain. And it's really intense, but I feel amazing. This past week was one of the most intense appointments I've had so far. We're nearing the end of the prep phase, and like again, for 2.5 days after, it's really hard for me to function. And definitely I've been getting a lot of practice in being gentle with myself. Even before EMDR started and all of this stuff started coming back up, being super kind and super gentle with myself has been a really important part of this whole process, which is something that I've been experimenting now. For those of you that have listened to positivity at all, or even on this channel, you know that I've been experimenting in different ways of self care and intuitively learning to listen to my body and what I need. And so all of that stuff is really coming in handy. My specialist even said, she's like, pat yourself on the back because I can tell you've been doing so much work for yourself, and it's really paying off. So you should be proud of that. And that just like that just hit me in a whole kind of way. And I've been so lucky to be able to share so much of that exploration and practice and patience and listening with all of you. And now I really need it, I gotta say. So, yeah, that's been my life. I've been living in this heightened whirlwind of a situation for months and months and months. So with everything happening in the world, it's been really surreal and also not that surreal because my inner world has been so tumultuous for so long, and it's continued to, you know, pick up speed, and functioning can be really hard. That now that the outside world is also in this whirlwind of a space, it's felt to me, and this is just my experience, and I don't at all mean to downsize anything anyone else is dealing with or going through, especially our heroes in the medical profession and people that are forced to work in necessary businesses, etc. I have nothing but love and empathy for everyone. But it's sort of felt, everything is kind of weirdly clicked in a way now that it feels like the outside world, the chaos kind of matches the chaos of my inside world, if that makes sense. So it's a lot. You'll notice I haven't launched a podcast in like 2 months, and that kills me a little bit on the inside, especially because it's all about positive conversations around mental health and things to help yourself and love yourself and be kind and listen to what your body and your brain need. And I will come back. I just needed time. It's one of the way I needed to show myself kindness and patience and love, is just lessen the workload a little bit, especially going through EMDR. I'm sure some of you have questions. Please feel free to ask. I will link in the comments a little video that my specialist sent to me. It's just like a little 2-minute thing with animations that just very basically explains what eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is. But feel free to ask me any questions in the comments down below. I'd love to talk with you about this. But I've been struggling a lot. And it's okay. Really. I've worked really hard, and I've worked with such love to produce content that gives you, and in turn gives me, this kind of love and sense of safety and belonging on whatever pocket of the internet I happen to be on. And that's been important to me for a really long time, and now I know why. It's because it's what I need. And the fact that I can not only sort of give that to myself, but also give it to you is really meaningful. And you're so wonderful. I'm so glad that you're here. Whoo! Yeah. How are y'all doing today? Hey, friends. You're so wonderful. Mental Health Awareness Month is the perfect excuse. Not that you need one, but I thought, especially because now I'm actually with an EMDR specialist and working through trauma and all of that stuff, the stars just kind of aligned, and this felt like the right time to launch this. I don't feel ashamed for anything that's happened. I don't feel ashamed for talking about it. I don't feel any sort of shame for knowing I have PTSD and c-ptsd. So I think it's good to talk about, because even if you don't necessarily have, whatever the 4+ conditions I've talked about today, all of this is so human, and seeking help is so important. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it. And I'm still doing the thing. We're doing the thing, friends. And thank you for being patient with my content, and especially the lack of podcast. I will get back to it. Yeah, life has been real lifey lately, is how I've been putting it. I love making videos for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing, commenting, liking this video if it's something that you enjoyed or that you feel like you got something valuable out of. I really appreciate it. Make yourself a big old cup of tea or hot chocolate or coffee or whatever you enjoy. Yes, my doctor told me I can drink even more tea. In fact, I should be drinking even more tea, which is just the best thing I've heard in about a decade. So, and last and most important of all, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next tea party. Bye, friends.
It's tea time with Mary.
Thanks for watching Tea Time with Mary. Oh, I hope to see you real soon. If you want to like, subscribe, and comment, I think that would be cool. Check out my Facebook.com/Tea Time with Mary for all the content that's new, or my Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. I'm at Miss Mary Lou. So thanks again for joining us. Dun, dun, dun. And thanks for being a friend. We'll see you next tea party. Da, 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 da. The fun never ends on Tea Time with Mary. That's me. Mwah. Wishing you all love and light and cups of tea.